One of the big focuses that we like to try and promote is joy, is joking, is having fun and laughter. And that's sometimes hard. Without that joy, it makes it really hard for our family life to flourish.
When we married, we thought it was all going to be very blissful and very exciting. And whenever we looked at each other, we were seeing stars in each other's eyes. But then we realized the selfishness and the differences that we had in between us. We had arguments about everything. We disagreed about everything.
We are very different in persons. We are very fast, have a temper, he's slow.
Relaxed, laid back.
So that has sometimes been a source of situations, conflict in a couple. But we have had to learn to sit down and find time for it.
And I think in any relationship, I think the joy disappears when there's conflict or when there's no resolution, no forgiveness.
Love is what makes the world go round. Love is our greatest joy. And yet we need only to look around us to observe that couples and families are undergoing a profound crisis. People dream of a love that is forever, but live in a throwaway society. People go from one relationship to another, following their whim, as if they were consuming merchandise. People connect to or disconnect from love as one does with social media, according to the mood of the moment. And some people continue to desperately seek a soulmate. This culture of the provisional, as Pope Francis puts it, is not inevitable. It is something that we can challenge and we can change. Today's family is a precious sign and can be a prophetic witness to the love of God. In August 2018, in a meeting in Croke Park Stadium in Dublin, Ireland, Pope Francis came to talk to 70,000 people about the holy challenges that families face today.
Dear families, what would the church look like without you? A church of statues, a church of lone individuals.
A church just full of statues.
The exhortation, The Joy of Love, was written to help us recognize the importance of family and to acknowledge its light, its shadow, and its beauty.
If we fail to learn how to rejoice in the well-being of others and focus primarily on our own needs, we condemn ourselves to a joyless existence. For as Jesus said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. How can the text of Amoris Laetitia inspire the Church to change? With the tone that the Pope uses, we see that everyone can connect with the text, and the text can help those who work with families and couples. They may say, before I used this term, for example, in the past and maybe even today, they might have used the opposition permitted forbidden. But the Pope never uses this opposition of permitted forbidden. We are there to help families discover a law of love.
Every couple can find something nourishing in this long letter to families. The joy of love meets them where they are, on their own path. Couples must make choices over and over again throughout their whole lives. And yet today, many young people are afraid to commit, to lose their freedom, and to fail. And they wonder, what is the point of getting married, raising children, and staying faithful? Yet, could it be that rather than losing something, a couple who decides to create a stable relationship really gains something? And marriage, which might seem out of date, is really a path to life.
I think, and the Pope says so too, that many people over-idealize marital and family love, so that when they run into difficulties, they tend to throw the whole thing over, not because they are no longer motivated by desire for the ideal, but they think, since we failed on one point, then the whole thing is over. And then, unfortunately, they give up.
Et donc, le grand danger de notre société,
the danger in our society is that it goes too fast. With digital technology and images circulating, we go too fast. But love between humans is on a long-term scale. And we need to accept that we are not always at our best. We are not always ideal. The essential is to understand that we have only just begun. And when you begin, there are false steps. You fall. It would be foolish to stop walking just because you fell on the way. And that is the important message of the Pope, the realism of love. Consumerist propaganda presents a fantasy that has nothing to do with the reality. It is much healthier to be realistic about our limits, defects, and imperfections, and to respond to the call to grow together, to bring love to maturity, and to strengthen the union, come what may.
Salut, ça va? Ouais. C'est bon, ça
Un défi important qui nous semble en France.
A challenge that seems important in France and in other countries is balancing professional life, which is often quite full for both members of the couple, with family life, where children have many activities. Each person wants to have a fulfilling professional and personal life, along with friends, sports, and activities, etc. With all these desires to grow and evolve, the role of the couple becomes somewhat reduced.
De s'épanouir.
The couple needs to make a concrete decision to organize their time and activities so that the couple can have frequent or daily quality time together, and that the couple time does not come after everything else is finished. The couple must choose to organize their lives so that the couple comes first, and this choice contributes to the well-being of the couple, the individual, and the family.
Génial!
Dialogue is essential for experiencing, expressing, and fostering love in marriage and family life. Yet it can only be the fruit of a long and demanding apprenticeship.
In a world where digital communication is omnipresent, we have an astonishing paradox. With their electronic devices, people are constantly bombarded with information. Yet curiously, couples are often strangers to one another. They get caught up in their routines, their full schedules, and the general weariness of their daily lives.
I thought our marriage was fine, and it was fine, but I now realize God wants more from us than just fine. He has big plans for our family.
I think that was one of the big learnings for me. The challenge for me when I communicated with Louise after 13 years was when she was speaking, I was already giving her an answer, but not really listening to what she was saying. And, you know, one of the challenges as a man for me is that when Louise would ask me something, my first reaction was to try and fix it or try and have an answer ready, where most of the time Louise wanted to communicate and let me know how she was feeling.
I learned that, well, Frank can't know my thoughts unless I speak them or get them out there. And I suppose we both learned different ways to communicate. And for me, that was a huge gift. And for us, then, it's a huge gift.
We have behind us what has been a long and sometimes even tumultuous life as a couple, but that life has been like a fine wine, meaning that with each passing year, it gets better and better, though only if we provide good conditions. We really began with a great love, a great passion even, but that soon burnt out. However, we made the decision to continue together. The key moment was the week at CANA, where we really started to pray together. It was a turning point, and I finally dared to say what I thought.
We've started to work together in a very sweet way, and we've seen that our diversity works well. 3 years ago, we enrolled in a dance class.
When doing the tango, you have to move so that your partner feels comfortable, and she has to move so that I feel comfortable. We need to take care of each other. You can do anything. There are no restrictions. But you must take care of your partner.
With the tango, you are one for the other.
And you must be sensitive, mutually sensitive.
You cannot dance the tango if you're not sensitive to the other.
It's a school of communication. A sort of tool that we use, that we have used now for quite a while, is what we call prayerfully reviewing our lives. We stop and ask ourselves, what have we experienced lately? What is happening between us? What is happening in our children's lives? How is God speaking to me through these experiences? Somewhat fundamental questions. You learn to do it. It sounds simple, but it isn't so simple. But when we manage to share what we experience, and not what we think, we men especially are great for saying what we think and not what we feel, then we get ahead. It is true that I like to say that in our families, we need to learn 3 words. 3 words. What are they? Sorry. Please. Thank you. 3 words.
Please, and thank you. Come erano 3 parole tutti? Can we say them again? Tutti. Sorry, please, and thank you. Another way. Sorry, please, and thank you. Non sento.
I can't hear you.
Thank you very much.
When you quarrel at home, be sure that before going to bed, you apologize and say you are sorry. Before the day is done, make peace. Watch out for the cold wars in the family.
Be careful about a cold war and avoid it.
All it takes is a look, a kiss, a soft word. I say this because when families do this, they survive.
Thank you, sorry, and please are 3 words that can change your life. Many couples have experienced a change in their lives, sometimes even a radical change, through week-long CANA sessions offered by the Chemin Neuf Community. When God is invited into our lives to take a front seat, and when we listen to Him with a humble posture, then miracles are possible. Rebecca and David experienced a miracle in their lives.
It was complicated. There was much heartbreak.
Much suffering. We did not listen to each other.
We did not forgive each other either.
And we didn't pray together. We went to work, and each one came back on their own. And I looked after the children, and David,
who went about his business. So we had a big problem in our relationship. At one point in our life, we separated. We each went our own way. I left, and after a while, I realized that this wasn't the life I wanted, and so I went home. I asked my wife's forgiveness, and she forgave me. And this forgiveness opened doors to a more spiritual life, for me anyway, and we decided to go forward.
Our goal was to really put Jesus in our lives, to learn again how to talk to each other, to listen to each other, and to pray together.
Today, we have joy in our family, and we communicate better. Christ is with us.
Yes, joy, and especially love, a lot of love. It was helpful for me to understand that within a couple, my spouse is not my enemy. I'm not fighting against him, but against whatever is dividing or hurting us. And so I learned about being able to sit together and share a little bit of truth, a little bit of our lives, seeing how we could go forward on this or that point, this or that conflict. How could we find ways together to fight whatever is dividing us instead of trying to be right all the time or trying to justify ourselves? On the subject of sexuality, the Church has taken a giant step. Today it dares to say things and no longer takes a negative view for which it has been criticized in past centuries. Sexuality is an issue filled with hurt and joy, and with suffering and fulfillment.
God Himself created sexuality, which is a marvelous gift to His creatures. Sexuality is an interpersonal language, wherein the other is taken seriously in his or her sacred, inviolable dignity. A healthy sexual desire, albeit closely joined to a pursuit of pleasure, always involves a sense of wonder. For me, sexuality has always been very important. Between us, it has always been beautiful. However, life with God has given this aspect of our lives a far greater depth and contributed so much to its development. God is with us in our sexuality. At the same time, our sexuality also brings difficulties, because here, everything comes together and is revealed. And this brings with it difficulties, because there are so many temptations. We live in a society full of images that tell us how sexuality should be experienced, how it should work. And then on top of that, there is the media and pornography. For my part, I've experienced a real liberation in this area.
I experienced how God can simply heal us, how He healed us. I'm a person who likes to be in control of a situation, who organizes and plans things for myself, and who likes to keep this control. And this totally goes against the concept of self-giving, because there you are led to lose control, to trust totally and completely. We can truly testify to this promise that a mature couple can come to enjoy a fulfilling sexuality.
This crosses all cultures, whether it be in Asia, Europe, America, or Africa. This question of sexuality is central and is very often experienced as suffering. There is joy, but this can be limited to just the procreation element. It's true that the Church has played a role in this, because the Church has put a lot of emphasis on procreation, on having children. But this is only a very small part of our sex lives. Over, say, 40 years or the whole of our sex lives, it's only a small part. And I was delighted to hear the Pope address this part by saying that there is also a dimension of unity, a dimension of union that is fundamental, that is important, because it is that which brings us closer together, and that which will carry the fruit of our love above and beyond having children.
On
the subject of sexuality, since Vatican II, thanks to John Paul II, and also to Benedict XVI, and then Francis, we've had a revolution on this subject. So with a much greater openness, there has been a reaffirmation of what has been said since the beginning, that human sexuality is good, that the sexual act is good and even very good, and that men and women are made to have a sexual relationship with each other within marriage, and that sexuality is the highest expression of love between a man and a woman. The man and the woman have the right to take pleasure in each other, a physical pleasure. The family is the first school of human values where we learn the wise use of freedom. After 40 years, we finally came to the conclusion that CANA is a school for couples. When we think of a school, we mean something that lasts over many years, and we accept that it lasts. We don't go to school in the same way we go on a 3-month course or any sort of short-term training. We stay. We arrive. We usually stay for several years, and we make progress. We go forward because in the end, love is something that can be learned.
So it's true. We've done a lot of reflecting. We've listened a lot, and we've asked many questions about the way to convey the message of CANA. In French, we would say, pour mieux aimer, for a deeper, stronger love. We told ourselves we need to build on the love that is already in the life of the couple.
St. Ignatius speaks of more. This is the idea we had, more. How could we have more? How many couples in our modern countries have an insipid or bland relationship? During the first days of the week-long CANA sessions, we often say, at CANA, Jesus changed water into wine. Come and drink the good wine. And we are French as well. We love good wine. So it speaks to us. But wine also speaks to those in many other countries. And it means that we can find a way to revive the flame. And this is the reason, to love better.
Sometimes joy is also a sign of not instant happiness. Joy is sometimes comes after suffering.
Yeah.
When we, in the middle of suffering, in the middle of misfortunes, oftentimes we are bounded and we could not see things through. But our life's journey taught us to see things behind. And as we rely on God and when we experience things behind, we find a deeper joy that God is faithful and we are not alone, and He is alive.
Ce qu'on a vécu pendant cette semaine CANA nous a...
We left CANA deeply in love with each other. With a deep love, something changed, something new. God really made things new for us. And since then, we feel a desire, a great desire to put Him in the center of our couple and to follow Him.
I, Estelle, take you, Foucault, to be my husband, and I will be your wife. I promise to be true to you in good times and...
Le message que le pape François envoie,
the message that Pope Francis sends is that the love men and women seek in their relationships and with their children is a little drop of divine love. And so, striving to make sense of married life is a truly mystical adventure. There is a tremendous joy, but that doesn't mean that one is always at the top of their game. There's a joy in being humble, forgiving a child who has been unpleasant that day, coming to give them a kiss because they have to calm down before going to sleep. This joy is a mystical gesture. Bringing flowers for one's spouse when you have been angry, or on the other hand, for her, making a small gift or a nice meal when her husband has been difficult to live with for some time. These are mystical gestures.
It's important for us as a couple to recognize that striving for holiness in our couple is indeed a big challenge. How can we manage to live a holy life?
I have the feeling that in order to make this love grow, there are two things which seem important to us. First, patience. Being patient and gentle with the other. And then hope, never giving up on hope. Sometimes we go through times in our life as a couple when we feel that nothing can change and that everything will always be complicated. It's good to turn to Christ. His desire for and His confidence in each one of us helps us to continue to be confident that our relationship will keep progressing.
Let's listen to what Pope Francis says. The vocation to love and to holiness is not something reserved for a privileged few. No. Even now, if we have eyes to see, we can see it being lived out all around us. It is silently present in the heart of all those families that offer love, forgiveness, and mercy when they see the need and do so quietly without great fanfare.
The gospel of the family is truly joy for the world. Since there, in our families, Jesus can always be found.
Le plus du mariage chrétien, c'est que
the good thing in Christian marriage is this awareness that the spouses have, or that they should have, that they are not just 1 + 1, but they are 3. And at the moment that they are together, they are like man and woman together. But they are not only two persons. God is among them, and God guides them. God, through His Holy Spirit, teaches them to love one another. Through His Son, He shows them what to give one's life means, and what it means to love, how to wash each other's feet, how to respect each other, as Jesus respected all the people He met. And somewhere too, I want to say that in the sacrament of marriage, when the two persons are together, they also reveal an image of the Father. It is very Trinitarian because the Father is the one who gives life, and they are called to give life in one way or another, just like the Father.
Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails.
Lord, teach us to contemplate the splendor of true love. Make our families a place of communion, respect, and dialogue. Come and give new life to couples who are struggling. Reveal yourself at the heart of their love. Give them patience and perseverance. And may their joy be a witness for the world.